Federal government plans to revisit National Carrier Project. Court grants defense request to examine cause of suspect's injuries in of a bank robbery. Declines autopsy request for principal suspects. In international news, UK lawmakers take over Brexit process. Wrest control from Prime Minister May. And in sports, Ahmed Musa redeems £4 million promise to under 23 Eagles after Libya win.
This is ANN News.
I am Olajumoke Olatunji. Minister of State for Aviation Hadi Sirika has revealed there are plans to deliver the National Carrier Project during President Buhari's administration. Sirika says the federal government will revisit the project, which he describes as the brainchild of the president. He said the president would not let it die. The minister said this while defending the ministry's budgets before the Senate Committee on Aviation in Abuja. He said the ministry only suspended the project to put adequate measures in place. He also expressed concern that Nigeria is not able to boast of a national carrier, despite being a huge aviation market. The minister says the National Carrier Project is a public-private partnership. The private sector will lead and deliver, while the government will play its role. He said the process would be transparent and would be done through local and international fora and media. National Chairman of the All Progressives Congress, Adams Oshiomhole, has charged the party's new members-elect at the House of Representatives to ensure the leadership positions and key committee chairmanships of the 9th National Assembly are retained by them. He said 164 of the 223 APC members that won House of Representatives seats are newly elected. The APC chairman urged the members-elect to work towards ensuring that key positions are all held by APC members. The Court of Appeal in Sokoto State has ruled against the judgment of a high court, which allowed the All Progressives Congress to field candidates in the 2019 elections in Zamfara State. But the chairman of the Senate Committee on Petroleum, Kabiru Marafa, and 129 others have appealed the judgment. Marafa and others approached the appealing courts and argued that the State High Court lacked the jurisdiction to entertain the case and its judgment should be declared null and void. Reacting to the Court of Appeal's verdict, the People's Democratic Party and the former Governor of Ekiti State, Ayodele Fayose, hailed the judgment, saying the APC participated illegally in the Zamfara State polls. But the APC has also declared it would appeal the judgment at the Supreme Court. Kwara State High Court sitting in Ilorin has ruled in favor of the Defense Counsel, who asked for an independent examination of the alleged gunshots sustained by 3 accused persons alleged to have participated in last year's robbery incident in Offa. 33 persons, including 9 policemen, were killed during the robbery, while 5 accused persons are standing trial. But the court refused a post-mortem examination of the corpse of the principal suspect in the robbery incident, Michael Adiko, whom the accused person claimed was deliberately killed by a police inspector while in custody at the force headquarters in Abuja. Earlier, the 5th accused person, Niyi Ogundiran, had narrated to the court how the police extracted confessionary statement from him under duress. The case has been adjourned till early April. Away from court matters, Director General of the National Youth Service Corps, Major General Suleiman Kazara, has disclosed that the Corps has introduced a biometric clearance system to eliminate corruption and compromise by officials and Corps members. The DG stated this on Monday during a leadership and anti-corruption sensitization workshop in Abuja, designed to raise a crop of officials that would imbibe good leadership qualities and enthrone a culture of transparency and accountability. He also revealed that the scheme had ensured strict compliance with government policies on the Treasury Single Accounts, Integrated Personnel and Payroll System, and Government Integrated Financial Management Information System. The DG says the introduction of biometric clearance system for Corps members has virtually eliminated all the chances of compromise by officials as well as abscondence by Corps members. The biometric system now ensures only deserving Corps members are paid the monthly and other statutory allowances. And finally, the National Identity Management Commission has extended enrollment of Nigerians on the diaspora registration program to the United Kingdom and United Arab Emirates. Commission spokesperson Loveday Ogbonna said the Commission has decided to extend the enrollment to these two countries after the huge success in South Africa. Ogbonna says the extension is in line with NIMC's mandate to ensure all Nigerian citizens at home and abroad, as well as legal residents in Nigeria, were enrolled into the National Identity Database and issued the unique National Identification Number. Ogbonna said DEFCON Systems Limited and the National Authentication Limited are the two Nigerian companies licensed by NIMC to handle the enrollment services across the globe. He said the enrollment will involve demographic and biometric data capture of all Nigerian citizens residing in the two countries. The UAE program is scheduled to take off today, while the UK program kicks off on Friday. Coming up, African stories. Reconstruction starts in Mozambique after devastating cyclone. And later, international stories. Prime Minister Theresa May loses control of Brexit negotiations to Parliament.
You are watching ANN.
Looking for some Disney magic but don't know where to find it? We've got a magical solution just for you. Simply go to disneynigeria.mobi and get an exciting selection of games, short videos, wallpapers, shareables, and more. Explore a whole new world of Disney on your mobile, tablet, or PC. For just 200 Naira monthly, you get to enjoy the fun to infinity and beyond. SMS Disney to 11006 to begin. Terms and conditions apply. This service is only available to MTN customers.
Welcome back. This is ANN News and African Stories. Zimbabwe's ZANU-PF lawmaker for Chimanimani East, Nokotulu Mazinkekere, has been sucked into the eye of the storm over the partisan distribution of aid to victims of Cyclone Idai. Chimanimani and Chipane in the southeast of Manicaland were the worst affected areas by the storm that left a trail of destruction and more than 140 persons dead. Affected villagers have accused ruling ZANU-PF officials, including Matsi Kenyere, of politicizing the disaster relief donated by the United Nations International Children's Emergency Fund. They said the aid was given to only ZANU-PF supporters. In a heated meeting on Saturday in a village where the relief aid were distributed, Matsi Kenyere was quoted as openly saying to the disgruntled villagers they deserve to be deprived of the disaster relief because they did not vote for them, or for her rather, during last year's election. The lawmaker later confirmed to a news crew that she directed the aid distribution, but that she was not involved in compiling names of recipients. She did not admit to what the villagers attributed to her. The storm left a trail of devastation and death all across southern Africa. Many are not even sure if they can pick up the pieces. The destruction is so massive. In the midst of all this, the government of Mozambique has taken a proactive step to begin reconstruction and rehabilitation of the country. And reporter Angela Coppola brings us the story from Mozambique.
Aid agencies are on the ground in Beira, and while the initial focus was to get people to safety, their attention now shifts.
While we're having some recess in water in some parts of the affected areas, it's still raining, and people are not yet off the hook, and we should be ready to accompany them in the mid and long term.
The clearing up has begun in earnest, and it's going to be a long process before everything's fully functional again.
To create the conditions of the healthcare, the house care, and the reconstruction of the infrastructures. It's our total availability to promote this good cooperation between Portuguese governments and Mozambican governments.
As aid agencies struggle with road access, the port was initially closed for just 2 days as the terminal operator dealt with a few minor issues, including damaged computer systems.
The port is fully operational again. What we're now waiting for is the road to become open, because Beira as a port serves the entire hinterland. Zimbabwe, Zambia, Malawi, they'll use the port of Beira. And there's only one road, but what we understand, emergency repairs are underway, and we expect by Monday morning the first trucks to start going again.
While the initial focus was to get people off the high ground and those buildings that they were waiting on for a couple of days, in some cases a week even, the strategy has now changed, and now those fishing boats are going to be going out with aid.
Mali President Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta has sacked 11 army commanders, including Army Chief of Staff and Chief of Land Forces, after a pre-dawn attack on villages left 134 persons dead and 55 injured. Many of those killed were pregnant women, children and elderly. The assaults came just under a week after an Al-Qaeda affiliate in central Mali claimed responsibility for an attack on an army post which left 23 Malian soldiers dead. Prime Minister Soumaïla Boubouya Maïga says the ethnic Dogon Danan Basagu group had been dissolved. He said they must hand over their weapons as the protection of the population will remain the monopoly of the state. And Kenyan Court of Appeal has granted gays and lesbians a leeway to register their own umbrella lobby. A majority decision of the court on Friday held that human beings should not be denied their fundamental rights because of how they choose to live their lives. One of the justices said the LGBT community has a right to freedom of association and that the Criminal Procedure Code does not criminalize that or those who want to form such a group. The sentencing judges said such a case had the capacity to destroy the cultural values of Kenyans and should not be allowed. Eric Gitare, who filed the petition, had alleged discrimination among other grounds. He is the co-founder of the National Gay and Lesbian Human Rights Commission. Uganda and Ethiopia, Africa's leading coffee exporters, have suffered an export decline in the first 4 months of the coffee calendar amid global falling prices. Latest records from the International Coffee Organization in Uganda, the largest exporter in Africa, recorded a 9% decline from October last year to January. ICO records also show that Ethiopia, the region's largest producer and second largest exporter, also suffered a 9% decline in that period. ICO reports say the decline suffered by the two countries was offset by growth in export from Ivory Coast and Tanzania. Overall coffee production in Africa this year is projected to improve by nearly 2%. When we return, international stories, Prime Minister Theresa May loses control of Brexit's negotiation to Parliament. And later sport, Ahmed Musa redeems pledge to own the 23 Eagles.
You are watching ANN.
This used to be me. But that was before I got the perfect bag. It's handy and easy to use. All I need in one compact space, just like my MTN Extra Value plan. I used to get one plan for my calls and then try to remember which data plan worked for me. Roaming was a totally different ballgame. Not anymore. I've got the MTN Extra Value all-in-one plan. If you're a data buff like me, you get extra data with some talk time. And if you like to make calls, you get extra talk time with some data. And when I'm abroad, I automatically browse, chat, and call right on the same plan. MTN Extra Value was made just for me.
More of data or calls, whichever one you prefer. MTN Extra Value is made just for you.
Welcome back. This is ANN News. Now to international stories. British Prime Minister Theresa May could not be said to have had a good day on Tuesday as she lost control of the Brexit negotiations. The Prime Minister says Parliament's decision to take control of the stalled process of leaving the European Union underscores the need for lawmakers to approve her twice-defeated deal. The House of Commons voted on Monday to take control of the parliamentary timetable on Wednesday, so lawmakers can vote on alternatives to the withdrawal agreement the Prime Minister negotiated with the EU. Health Secretary Mark Hancock said on BBC News on Tuesday the government won't pre-commit to accepting the option backed by lawmakers. He wants lawmakers to support the Prime Minister's agreement because, as I put it, The best way through the impasse is the one deal the Prime Minister has already negotiated with the EU. Tuesday's event is sure to further complicate the process of Britain leaving the bloc. Of course, many businesses are troubled by all the confusion going on in Parliament and the encroaching date set by EU for UK's departure. In anticipation of a messy divorce, many major companies have moved their headquarters from the UK. Many businesses are already feeling the impact of what Brexit could do. One of the sectors affected already is UK's flour industry. And reporter Hannah tells us more about that.
Few gifts could bring the same joy and emotions as a bouquet of fresh flowers. As well as putting a smile on your face, it's also a billion-dollar industry in the United Kingdom. There are nearly 5,000 florists across the country. But the confusion over Brexit and the possibility of leaving the European Union without a deal has created a sense of unease.
My concern was always that the political class who were against it would combine to frustrate it, and that's exactly what's happening.
Don't talk to me about Brexit. I hate the whole concept of Brexit, but I still like it.
But the stable structure of life in the UK is likely to change, I think.
A fear that is shared from local market stall holders to expensive florists in London's West End.
It's the fear of the unknown and what is going to happen, but of course nobody can answer that, and that's what's frustrating. And I think it's the supply, the physical supply chain, that's the main concern. If tariffs come in, we may have to consider increasing our prices, but at the moment we're not, because nothing as far as we're concerned is changing.
For just over 110 years, flowers like this have made their way to UK via the Netherlands. But Brexit uncertainty means that trade model could be affected by tariffs and delays at the border, possibly withering the profits of places like this and causing some to rethink that traditional trade model. Like Ed Scanlon has sought a new way of doing things. The former florist now runs a price comparison site for flower shops.
Everybody loves flowers. It was just a case of meeting the demand. So flowers are shipped in from China, from Asia, Kenya a lot, well in fact all of Africa. They're flown into Holland, so we thought instead of going from the 2 points of the triangle, why don't we just fly them into Heathrow, because that's an international hub as well. But we've just reconfigured the transportation routes. Even if tariffs do appear later on, the money that we will save in transport will outweigh these.
Many businesses are fearful of the Brexit upheaval, but for some in the flower industry, this could be an opportunity to explore pastures new.
Israeli forces have struck targets across the Gaza Strip through Tuesday, including the offices of Hamas supreme leader, in response to a surprise rocket attack from the Palestinian territory. The military has bolstered its troops and rocket defense systems in anticipation of a new round of heavy fighting with the Islamic militant group. Israel opened public bomb shelters in most major cities, and civil defense authorities cancelled sport events and public transportation in southern Israel. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who had hurried back to Israel from Washington because of the rocket attack, said Israel would not tolerate this and that he personally would not tolerate it. He said Israel will respond forcefully to the rocket attack he called wanton aggression. Israeli military said it had retaliated to the latest rocket attacks with 15 airstrikes. It also said Hamas military sites and those for smaller jihad group had been hit. Hamas has been leading weekly protests along the Israeli border for the past year in hopes of easing an Israeli-Egyptian blockade. But the demonstrations in which nearly 200 persons have been killed by Israeli fire have done little to improve conditions. Chinese President Xi Jinping has concluded his three-country European tour, which began in Italy last week. He completed his tour's agenda on Tuesday with his first state visit to the Kingdom of Monaco. And reporter Stephen Deveris was on that trip.
On Sunday, Prince Albert II, the head of state of the Principality of Monaco, held a grand welcome ceremony for President Xi Jinping at the Prince's Palace of the city-state. The exchange of visits between the Chinese president and Prince Albert II, who visited Beijing last September, demonstrates the high level of China-Monaco ties. The two heads of state held talks on strengthening China-Monaco relations. Xi said that the two countries have always treated each other as equals with sincerity and friendship. After bilateral talks on ecological and economical issues, Prince Albert II and President Xi Jinping attended a state luncheon with 40 guests in the Prince's Palace, here right behind me. And the first state visit of a Chinese president to one of the world's smallest countries.
Up next, sports. Ahmed Musa redeems pledge to under-23 Eagles. Stay with us.
You are watching ANN.
Welcome back. This is ANN News. Let's talk sport. Samson Unwanen has been named new coach of Osun United. The team's technical crew also named the final 29-man squad ahead of the 2018-2019 NNL season. A statement signed by the club's spokesman, Tunde Shamsuddin, said the new coach expressed confidence in the quality of players available for selection. Shamsuddin added that the players would help Osun United achieve their dream of securing promotion to the Nigeria Professional Football League. And Super Eagles captain Ahmed Musa has redeemed his promise to the under-23 side after their 4-0 win over Libya on Monday evening. The team were trailing the Libyans 2-0 from the first leg last week and needed a resounding win to qualify. Musa promised to pay 1 million naira for every goal secured. Former media officer of the senior Eagles, Colin Udo, has confirmed that the former Leicester City winger has sent the money. That's nice. And that's ANN News this evening. Thank you for joining us. For details on this and other stories, visit the website annafrica.net. Conversation continues on our social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at ANN Africa TV. I am Olajumoke Olatunji. Have a pleasant evening.